We have to sell Graceland. That will never happen.
Graceland, the estate of legendary singer Elvis Presley, is facing a legal battle now over a potential foreclosure sale.
Elvis's family hid a secret for 48 years. While millions toured Graceland, the entire second floor remained a forbidden zone, sealed on the day he died. But the real mystery was locked behind one last door, the attic. What was so explosive it had to be hidden from the world? But the secret of the attic was tied to an even bigger one. They lied about how the king really died. The world was told it was a simple heart attack, but the truth was a far darker story of a tragic OD. It was a deliberate cover-up to protect his image. If they lied about that, what else were they hiding? The deception fueled theories so wild, some people were willing to do the unthinkable. Grave robbers tried to prove the coffin was empty. Just weeks after his death, men were caught trying to steal his 900-pound casket. The official reason was extortion, but others believed they were trying to prove the ultimate conspiracy, that Elvis was never in it. The mystery of the empty coffin could never be solved because the ultimate truth remained locked away. After 48 years, the attic door was opened. Following a recent, shocking attempt to seize Graceland, the family was forced to end the speculation once and for all. In 2025, the seal was broken. Was this the moment the world would finally learn he was alive? But what they found inside wasn't what anyone, not even the wildest theorists, could ever have predicted. The truth inside is more tragic than the rumors. There was no escape plan, no treasure. Instead, they found dusty, forgotten items that painted a devastating picture of a man in deep personal turmoil. What was the heartbreaking reality they uncovered that rewrites the entire story? So, before we break the seal on this 48-year-old mystery, I have to ask, what do you think was the bigger secret they were hiding? Let us know in the comments below, the truth about how he really died, or a master plan for his escape. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the stories they don't want you to know. Now, let's dive in. Graceland is more than just a museum. It's a time capsule. And for nearly 50 years, the most sacred part of that capsule was completely sealed off from the entire world. The entire second floor. Even when the king was alive, this space was his personal sanctuary. It held his bedroom, his office, his dressing room, and the bathroom where he spent his final moments. It was the one place on earth he could truly escape the crushing weight of his own fame, a private world no one entered without a direct invitation. Following his tragic passing on that floor, his family made a swift and permanent decision to lock it away, declaring it off-limits to everyone, tourists, staff, and even some close family members. The official story was a noble one, to preserve his private world exactly as he had left it, a final act of respect to protect the king's dignity in death. They wanted to keep his memory pure, untouched by the prying eyes of a world that had already taken so much from him. But the sheer finality of the act felt extreme. Sealing a room is one thing, but sealing an entire floor, the very heart of his private life, sparked immediate and intense speculation. Was the family just protecting furniture and memories, or were they protecting a secret? As it turns out, the decision wasn't just about preserving his final moments, it was about controlling the story of how he spent them. The official story that was fed to the world on August 16, 1977, was tragically simple. Elvis Presley, at the age of 42, had passed away from a cardiac arrest, a sudden, unexpected heart attack. It was a clean and respectable end for a larger-than-life American icon, allowing fans to mourn the man without questioning the legend. But almost immediately, that official narrative began to fray at the edges, revealing a much darker and more complicated reality. Journalists and insiders started to expose the truth that the king's inner circle was desperately trying to conceal. His passing wasn't the result of a simple heart attack. It was the tragic end to a long-running battle with prescription medications. His system was reportedly flooded with a damning cocktail of powerful drugs, pointing not to a sudden medical event, but to a slow-motion OD that had been building for years. The cardiac arrest was a convenient fiction, a carefully constructed lie designed to protect the multi-million-dollar brand of Elvis Presley. His handlers knew the truth wouldn't sell records or lunchboxes. They had to bury the story of a man who tragically lost his way. But hiding the truth about his death was only the beginning. The secrets they sealed away in Graceland were apparently so explosive, some people were willing to do the unthinkable to get to them. Just when the world believed the Elvis saga couldn't get any more bizarre, the unthinkable happened. A few weeks after he was laid to rest, authorities uncovered an audacious plot to physically steal his body. A group of men were apprehended in the act of trying to desecrate his tomb and heist the king's 900-pound copper-lined casket. The official story labeled it a crude extortion plot, an attempt to hold the king's remains for ransom. But for a public already primed for suspicion, this explanation felt too simple. Whispers immediately began to circulate with a much darker theory, that the criminals weren't trying to steal a body, but were trying to prove that the coffin was empty. The shocking attempt sent a wave of terror through Elvis's family. His father, Vernon, was horrified and realized that nowhere was safe. In a desperate and unprecedented move, he had the bodies of both Elvis and his mother exhumed from the cemetery and moved directly to the grounds of Graceland itself. This was the moment the home transformed into a fortress. The reburial in the meditation garden came with a massive increase in security, and it cemented the decision to seal the entire second floor permanently. If people were willing to bring shovels to his grave, the family could only imagine what they would do to get inside his private sanctuary. The upstairs wasn't just a memorial, it was a vault, protecting secrets that some believed were worth dying or digging for. The extreme security and the desperate act of moving his grave led to the most explosive theory of all. What if there was no body to protect in the first place? What if Elvis Presley, the most famous man on the planet, had pulled off the greatest vanishing act in modern history to escape a life that had become a golden cage? For believers, the clues were hiding in plain sight. There was the infamous misspelling of his middle name on his own gravestone, Aaron, instead of the official Aaron, which they claimed was a deliberate signal that the grave was a decoy. There were the countless alleged sightings over the decades, placing an older, bearded Elvis everywhere from a local burger joint to the background of a major Hollywood film. They pointed to his known obsession with spirituality and his deep desire to live a normal life, arguing that he had the money, power, and intelligence to simply disappear. In this version of the story, the sealed second floor of Graceland wasn't a memorial. It was the staging ground for the entire hoax. The attic, therefore, was the ultimate prize, the lockbox that could contain the proof of his escape plan. For nearly 50 years, the mystery of the attic fueled the hope that the king was still out there, living in quiet anonymity. But while the world was busy searching for the ghost of Elvis, a very real modern-day monster appeared at Graceland's front gates. In 2024, shocking news broke that sent a wave of panic across the globe. Graceland was being foreclosed on. The untouchable home, the fortress of the king, was suddenly listed for a public auction, ready to be sold off to the highest bidder. A shady, little-known company had surfaced, presenting documents that claimed Elvis's late daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, had used Graceland as collateral for a multi-million-dollar loan and had defaulted on the payment. They claimed the estate was theirs to seize. It was a brazen, daylight heist targeting the heart of the Presley legacy. Elvis's granddaughter, Riley Keough, immediately fired back, launching a legal battle and publicly declaring the entire affair a disgusting and fraudulent scheme. For a terrifying moment, the fate of the king's kingdom hung in the balance, nearly falling into the hands of predatory strangers. In a dramatic last-minute decision, a judge sided with the Presley family, halting the sale and calling the company's claims highly questionable. Graceland was saved, but the battle left a deep scar. It was a brutal wake-up call. This near catastrophe forced the family to realize that in order to protect Graceland's future, they had to finally confront its past. The endless speculation was liability. It was time to open the last sealed door. And so, in the quiet of 2025, the day finally came. Spurred into action by the near theft of their entire legacy, the Presley estate knew it was time. A small group of professional archivists, overseen by the family, ascended the famous staircase to the forbidden second floor, a part of the house that had been treated as hallowed ground for almost half a century. They moved with a quiet reverence, their footsteps the first to echo through that sacred space in years. Their destination was the final frontier, the epicenter of every wild conspiracy and whispered rumor, the single, unassuming door to the sealed attic. For 48 years, that door had remained locked, gathering dust and guarding the king's ultimate secrets. What lay behind it? Proof of a grand escape? A trove of lost, priceless music? Or something else entirely? As the key, unused for decades, finally turned in the old lock, the sound seemed to hang in the thick, silent air. With a slow, heavy creak, the door swung inward, breaking a seal that had lasted for 2 generations. As the light flooded the attic for the first time since 1977, every wild conspiracy theory evaporated in the stale, musty air. There was no secret escape tunnel. There were no suitcases packed for a new life in South America, no maps, and no chests filled with lost master recordings. The reality revealed by the dust-covered contents was far more mundane and infinitely more heartbreaking. The space was filled not with clues to a grand hoax, but with the forgotten relics of a life that had been tragically interrupted. Archivists found his childhood rocking horse and tricycle, sitting silently next to trunks filled with his mother's old belongings. They found stacks of his less famous out-of-style jumpsuits and discarded stage props, monuments to a past he could no longer inhabit. But deeper inside, amongst the clutter, they found the most revealing items of all. Dozens of medical books, showing a man desperately trying to understand the ailments that were ravaging his body. Stacks of gospel records he sought for spiritual comfort, and abandoned karate gear from a passion he no longer had the strength for. This wasn't the lair of a master strategist planning his great escape. It was the sad, lonely storage space of a deeply isolated man who was a prisoner in his own home, searching desperately for any kind of relief he could find. The discovery in the attic was shocking, but not for any of the reasons the world had spent decades imagining. The contents didn't just debunk the conspiracy theories, they completely annihilated them. And in their place, a new, more profound and human story emerged. The real secret that had been guarded so fiercely for 48 years wasn't a hoax. It was a quiet, heartbreaking tragedy. The family hadn't sealed the attic to hide clues of an escape, but to hide the undeniable evidence of a painful and protracted decline. The collection of sad and mundane items was a testament to the real man's private battles, a story far too raw and too vulnerable for the carefully managed billion-dollar brand of the king. This final revelation doesn't diminish the legend, it completes it. It forces us to look past the rhinestones and the iconic sneer to see the deeply flawed and suffering person underneath. The attic confirms that the greatest tragedy of Elvis Presley wasn't the nature of his death, but the profound loneliness of his life. The king was a character he played for the world, but the man was a prisoner in the castle, and the attic held the last dusty remnants of his true self. So the great mystery is finally solved. The journey that started with a single sealed door, a journey fueled by wild tales of grave robbers and persistent sightings of a king in hiding, ends here in a quiet, dusty room full of forgotten things. For nearly 50 years, the world desperately searched for signs that Elvis had managed to leave the building, that he had somehow pulled off the ultimate escape from his own suffocating fame. The final crushing irony is that the attic proved he never could. The secrets it held were not of escape, but of confinement. The opening of this long-sealed chamber didn't resurrect the king from a mythical, anonymous life. It did something far more important. It finally introduced us to the man we had never truly been allowed to meet, and in doing so, allows him to truly rest. The king may be gone, but after all these years, we can finally remember the man. So, what do you think? Does learning the heartbreaking reality behind this 48-year-old mystery change the way you see the king? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tell us which legend's hidden story we should investigate next. For more deep dives that uncover the truth behind the world's biggest icons, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming. Thanks for watching.